Am I the asshole for using an air horn to get people to stop yelling at me? I'm currently on vacation in California, and my wife and Elle are staying at a house rented by one of her closest friend's parents, call them Dale and Sydney, along with some other people. Anyway, the incident in question, Sydney had signed us up, without telling me or, I thought, my wife for a big kayak outing. Right off the bat, I do not enjoy these kind of water sports. I just never have. Moreover, I simply wasn't in the mood to try it out, especially kayaking, which I had never done before. This is important. When my wife came in and told me we were doing it, I said I wasn't interested. At first, I almost thought she was joking, because she knows how much I dislike water stuff like this. But she said she was serious, and that we had to go since the hosts had paid for it. I told her no one asked me if I even wanted to go. She then admitted that Sydney asked her if we wanted to go, and my wife agreed. Now, here I was annoyed that my wife volunteered me for something that she didn't even consult with me about. Moreover, it was something that she knew I really disliked. I told her I felt no obligation to honor something that another person made on my behalf. She then looked flustered and said she was sorry she didn't ask me, but could I please come anyway? I reminded her how much I don't enjoy these things, and she said she understood, but still wanted me to go to keep the peace, as she put it. I said I would happily reimburse the cost in lieu of going, but that got her all flustered, and she again just forcefully asked that I just put up with it for one afternoon. I wanted her to have a good vacation, and didn't want to make any waves with Sydney or Dale, or her friends, for her sake, so I reluctantly agreed, but told her somewhat sternly to never volunteer me for something like this again. It was awkward driving to the place, but we got there and started getting ready and dressed with life vests and whatnot, and headed outside to the water. When I met the guide, he asked us about our previous kayaking experiences. When he got to me, I told him I had never done it before. He looked at me funny, and said this was an advanced kayaking course, and I would really struggle with it as a novice. Moreover, he asked me, in a pretty annoyed tone, why I had come if I had never kayaked before. Everyone was looking at me now, and I was getting embarrassed and flustered myself. Trying to be diplomatic with my wife around, I told him I essentially got volunteered into doing this through a misunderstanding. And I said if he thinks it's too hard for a beginner, I could skip out. He said that was probably a good idea. I got to leave, and this is where it went off the rails. To be fair, I should point out that I was pretty annoyed and borderline angry with my wife for setting me up to look foolish, even though I knew that wasn't her intention at all. I thought leaving would let everyone else have a good time. Sydney then approached me and asked why I even agreed to come if I had never been. Again, everyone was looking at me, and I hate being put on the spot like that. I decided to be honest and said my wife signed us both up without asking me, and she probably didn't know that this was an advanced course. I saw her get beet red when I said this, so I presume she was embarrassed too. Sydney said she didn't like wasting money. I apologized and offered to reimburse her. She said it wasn't about the money, but wasting her time and effort. I really didn't know what to say, so I just apologized again and said I'll make sure things are clearer in the future, and I appreciated her thinking of us when planning it. My wife then came over and said I could maybe just try it so we could follow through with our original plans. I said I didn't feel comfortable going on an advanced course on something I had never participated in before, and that shouldn't be hard to understand. This opened the floodgates, and soon the entire group started essentially yelling at me about either wasting time and money, agreeing to something I had no business agreeing with. Et al. Sydney and my wife joined in too, with my wife just pleading to try it out anyway. It must have been 12 or so people all talking at me loudly, not full-blown screaming, to be fair, but enough to really start to piss me off and feel singled out. Here, I noticed there was an air horn nearby, and with everyone yelling at me, I just thought fuck it, took the air horn and blew it up in the air. It was super loud, as you might expect, but it succeeded in cutting through their clamor and shutting them all up. The fact that I blew it for about 10 seconds also helped. It was dead quiet after. I looked at them all, and said they all needed to stop talking loudly at me, all at once. Moreover, I reiterated that I was not going to go on an advanced course as a novice. I would probably slow them all down, and they'd be even more annoyed and angry at me. I then said again, I was volunteered without being asked, that I should have kept my ground with my wife when the original argument began, and that, most of all, I was fucking sick of being ganged up on. My wife and a few others again tried to intervene, but I simply pressed the air horn again, for only about 2 seconds this time. I then said I was done arguing, out the air horn back, and told my wife to get a ride with one of them back to the house, and I got into my car and drove back. On the car ride back, I questioned if I went too far. But I absolutely hate being ganged up on, due to bad experiences in the past. But I realized I could make a panic move. Moreover, I was also still kind of angry at my wife, so I decided I would get my own hotel for night to cool off. I texted her a message telling her that, along with a note that I think she, whether purposely or not, set me up to fail and be embarrassed. I asked her not to contact me until the next day. I'm at the hotel now. It's a nice one and I feel calmed down. Okay, so. Did I overreact? Did I do anything wrong? Was blowing the air horn the wrong move?
If you like this video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Thank you for your support.